I wanted to give you guys some information in regards to the SBA disaster loan, the EIDL program, and also to tell you right now I went on their website and they do have those that the application is open back up to non-agriculture businesses. So if you're out there, you missed the deadline that before they shut the application down to a normal business, you are now able to apply for that loan and that grant. So I encourage you, if you haven't applied and they cut you off, go out there and apply. So SBA just put the advance update, those numbers out. They just published those numbers. And they also published the EIDL loan numbers. So we're going to talk about those today. If you are watching, please say something in the comment section. This is a live chat. If you have any questions, hopefully I'm able to answer those questions. So just type them in the comment section. So let's go over the EIDL grants. This document is in my description section. So a total of 3.2 million advances was sent out. This is when I say advances, this is about that $10,000 grant that we thought we was going to get. And SBA, weeks after they initiated the CARES Act, SBA decided to put a cap on that funding. So it's 3.2 million grants that's been sent out to small businesses, a total of $10.7 billion. Of course, I like going over California to see where they're at. They have a totaling of 486,000 grants, totaling a $1.5 billion. New York is the second runner-up. They have a total of 247,000 grants that's been approved and $777 million. So literally, no one really comes close to California. California is way ahead of everybody else. We know California has more businesses, but on the grand scheme of things, we know other states has been vastly affected other than California, okay? So California comes in first. They have 486,000 loans totaling a $1.5 billion, and I'm using the word loans, but it's actually grants. Florida actually has 320 million loans or grants that were issued out, a total of $975 million. Okay. Then next we have New York. New York is the third running up. It's 247,000 loans or grants that were dished out, $770 million worth of loans. Okay. So we have California that's coming in first, Florida, and New York. So the next state that we have that's even close is Texas. Texas has 262 million loans, or 200, I'm saying million, but 262,000 loans and 910 million grants that were actually Texas beat out New York. Jeez. I guess New York's getting a bad they're getting a bad end of the stick, I guess. Next we have Michigan, and actually Michigan is really not that high. Michigan got 76,000. I'm from Michigan, so that's why I always look at Michigan. 76,000 loans or grants that were issued, $274 million worth of grants. Illinois has 114,000 or 115,000 grants that were issued, about $412,000 worth of grants. This is so weird because Illinois and Michigan are about the same size, and Michigan is 1/3 less than Illinois. That's crazy. New Jersey has 105,000 loans that were issued out, about $352 million. You know, so a total of $10.7 billion worth of loans were issued out, or worth of grants. So they have about $9 billion left in this fund, because I think the first round was 10 billion, then the second round was another 10 billion. And as we learned from the hearing, that they processed half of the applications. They supposed to get the other half, 2.5 million applications, processed this week. That's why they said they opened up the portal for you to apply. Okay, so if you haven't applied for this EIDL grant, you have now, they have now opened up the application. You can now go on SBA.gov. I did link that in my description section to apply for the grant. Jovita Carranza, she did admit that they have high numbers of denials. So half of the applications been approved, not even half, it was less than half. Because she admitted that there were 5.4 million applications that applied, and out of that 5.4 million applications, half of those were processed, but from these numbers, only 1.3 million applicants, or when she was talking, that was June last week, June 6th, about 1.1 million applicants were approved for the EIDL program. So a lot of people have been denied. And if you're one of those people, I encourage you to reapply. So let's go over the EIDL numbers. If you're out there, put your name in the comments section. Thank you for joining us. Let's go over the EIDL numbers, the actual loan numbers. We just reviewed the EIDL advance numbers. They still have $10 billion left. They only issued out $10 billion, or close to $11 billion. So the EIDL loans, they still lagging behind. We found out in the Senate hearing that they got about $280 billion left. And only as of June the 12th, this is what this document that I'm looking at, they only issued out $90 billion. So what is the holdup? She assured everybody, hey, we'll have all these applications processed by the end of the week. So we'll see about that. If you have not heard, if you submitted your application and haven't heard anything by the end of this week, if I were you, I will be emailing your Senate. And I think they have a special email. If you go to sba.gov/disaster relief, that email at the bottom, you can contact them to, I will make a formal complaint. Because like I said, during the Senate hearing, she, and I'm using the word she, Jovita Carranza, said everyone will be processed, okay? And that video that I'm doing a lot of edit, that video will drop hopefully by the end of tomorrow, in the day. Okay, so the EIDL program. Let's look at California. You know, I always look at California first. California looks like as of June the 6th, California had 196,000 loans approved with $15 billion. And they just published another document, 230,000 loans with $17 billion. Anybody else came close to that? To California? We got Florida. I don't know why they passed up New York. I'm not for sure if, I guess because of the travel industry, maybe that's the reason they do it. It is a big state, but they have almost $8 billion worth of loans approved as of June the 12th, and 130,000 applicants. Okay. New York, 97,000 applicants with $7 billion. So they're just under Florida. They have a little bit more loan amounts, meaning Florida has more loans, but the loan amount, it hasn't changed. It's not drastic. Okay. Texas is a big, where's Texas at? Yeah, Texas, they have quite a few. 112,000 loans were approved, and they got $7.6 billion. So they're pretty up there. But like I said, they only approved $90 billion so far, and only 1.3 out of the 5.4 million applicants were approved. I mean, we could say out of 3 million applicants. Out of 3 million applicants, 1.3 million people were approved. I'm doing a guesstimation because from the Senate hearing, she said half of those applicants were processed. So, I mean, this is a guesstimation. Michigan got 30,000 loans approved. A little bit over $2 billion, okay? Michigan, Illinois has 42,000 loans approved with $2.9 billion. Arizona is 24,000 loans approved with $1.6 billion. Like I said, if you're just tuning in, we're going over the disaster loan update. We see that they just published some numbers today. And like that EIDL program, they only issued out $90 billion so far. And from the Senate hearing, they do have just about $270 billion left worth of funding. The application is up right now as we speak. So if you have not applied, please go to SBA.gov to apply for those applications or for that funding. Let's see. Georgia is 51,000 applicants approved with $3.2 billion. I don't see, New Jersey got 44,000 loans approved with $3.2 billion. Nevada, 15,000 loans approved with $1 billion. You think to me, this is ridiculous. You think Nevada got 300,000 small businesses. One of the senators from Nevada was at that hearing, and she was stressing to Jovita Carranza that her businesses in her state couldn't take advantage of the PPP. They really needed the EIDL program. And as you see, they only got 15,000 loans approved, and it's about 300,000 small businesses in that state. To me, that's ridiculous. Hey, Sunshine. So, I mean, it's like, what are they doing? You know, what are you holding the money for? You know, to me, it's like this is supposed to be the lifeline. And after I heard about the Senate hearing, that like most of the senators were all in agreement saying that the PPP and the EIDL program was supposed to work in conjunction of each other, not a separate entity. Oh, you don't get approved for EIDL, you could take advantage of the PPP. No, PPP was for the lifeline, a life support, but the EIDL program was for, hey, we're done with the COVID-19 craziness. We don't need life support. Now we need to get back in business to use for working capital. And that was the whole purpose of them developing the EIDL program and the PPP. They supposed to work in conjunction of each other, not separate. Okay? So, I mean, it's like, to me, oh, you and Jovita Carranza, some of the answers she was giving, it was like, oh, we sent out these emails to the applicants saying, oh, they may not be able to get approved through the EIDL program, but there is the PPP out there. But you just missed the point. You know, that's not what it was for. You know, so it's like. It really ticks me off what they're doing to the small businesses, because I'm one of them. Another point that they were making during the Senate hearing, and you'll get all this information because I in my next video, I put clips and snippets of what the senators were stressing. The EIDL program was specifically designed for those minority business owners, for those, especially the grants that have less access to capital. And it was almost all the senators there were saying, okay, what about the minority small business owner? We know they're not getting the loans because we hear it from our constituents. So, and you know, it's like, what are you doing? And then another thing, they asked her, well, why are you not using the EIDL program to the full extent of their capability? You know, why are you setting limits on these loan limits? And that's it wasn't designed for that. And they didn't really have a definitive answer. All she said is, oh, the number of applicants, we just saw how many, the amount that were prior approval, and we just based it off that amount. Well, that's unacceptable. And basically all the senators were saying that was unacceptable. But, you know, I don't think they're going to change it. I think they're just going to say, okay, hopefully these small business owners and these minority business owners will get it eventually. But if you were denied, I guess you got to reapply. And then another thing she said that, oh, the people that were denied, we're reviewing their applications because some of those were denied, and I guess it wasn't a just cause. And she didn't say they're just going to review it. You have to reapply. And that's how well, we want them to fix some things and they could reapply. Okay. So if you're out there and if you haven't took advantage, if you were too late for the last deadline, the application is open. I encourage you to reapply. It looks like they have plenty of funding yet, left over for this EIDL program. It's sad the way they're doing a small business owner. I'm lost for words. You could expect in the next few coming weeks, if you're in those areas that were affected by the riots, you can expect some relief from there because they have about $130 billion left over in the PPP. So if you were in the riot zone and you took out a loan again, you took advantage of the PPP, they are going to dedicate I think they said about half of that, $60 billion, once they calculate the damage to the small businesses in those areas. So you could expect some more relief, and hopefully they'll design it the same as the PPP. If you spend it on some certain things, it will be a forgivable type thing. Okay. So I would thank you guys for tuning in. This is like my first time doing a live event. If you have any questions, hey, you know what? Shout out your name. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer those questions for you. I normally don't do this, and my kids are asleep, so I'm able to talk to you guys a little bit more. So one thing I did want to point out, if you are a fit, I guess, if you have a criminal background, during that Senate hearing, they were saying that they are going to shorten that gap. Instead of 5 years, they're going to put it down to 3 years. But they're looking for a general consensus among the Senate. So if you own a business and you have a criminal background and you kind of disqualified yourself because you had a criminal background, it was less than 5 years. Now it's less than 3 years. So if you were denied because of those reasons, I encourage you to reapply. Also, they did mention about pretrial diversion. That's another thing that, if you got caught up in a case and your lawyer and the attorney, the defense attorney, and the prosecuting attorney and the judge all came in agreement that you could get the, I guess you do certain things, and they will state or expunge your record. They were denying people for those loans or PPP loans. Hey, if you have a business and you were part of that pretrial diversion, they said you are able to apply and they will fix that right away. That wasn't supposed to have been a stipulation on the applicants. So if you have a criminal record and you own a business and you thought you were disqualified, I encourage you to reapply for PPP or the yeah. So thank you for tuning in, and I'm sending all my good to you. I will talk to you soon.